All right, this is a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1991, Shabbat Nachamol, just like this year. Maybe the day, days don't exactly correspond, but the Torah portion does. This is the first Torah portion which is read after Tisha B'Av. Now, Tisha B'Av is the worst day of the year. Tisha B'Av, we remember that the temple was destroyed and is destroyed, and it was destroyed and is destroyed because of our deeds. And it was really a big favor that God did to us destroying the temple, because he did that instead of destroying the Jewish people. Instead of destroying the Jewish people, as he destroyed the temple. And the Rebbe explained also that it was not, he destroyed it in order to build it better. Build it better. Like you go into the slums in New York, instead of just, painting the faces of all the houses. So they tell, listen, let me just resettle everybody, put everybody in temporarily in hotels. Let's rebuild the whole entire thing to make it better. And whether the third temple is going to be rebuilt. It's taking a long time. 2,000 years is a long time, but it'll be worth it. We'll see that somehow or other the third temple is going to be infinitely greater. Here's a beautiful picture, by the way, of Nachshon, Baruch Nachshon, wonderful painter. Rebbe encouraged him. Third temple in fire will be built in fire. It says the third temple. It'll be good for everybody. Here we go. Okay, so there were 3 Shabbats that we read haftorahs from Isaiah. And Isaiah was a prophet that he was in the middle of the first temple, and he would really let the Jewish people, have it, because the Jewish people were really, listen, God expects, almost unreasonable things from the Jewish people. God expects. And as soon as the Jewish people say, listen, we want to act like all the non-Jews, so God says, okay, I'm destroying the temple. That's all there is to it, You want to act like the non-Jews, so forget it. I'm destroying the temple. So, the God, when the Jewish people want to act normal, that's bad. That's bad. They want to act normal, that's not good. Jewish people have to act not normal. They have to give more charity than what they want. They have to be more kind than what they want. And a few Jews do bad, it really, really stands out. I'll never forget, I remember once, something that really stuck out in my mind, a person that was really a Jew in Israel. He was really, just against religion, just against, the religious people. And one of the things he said, I saw one of these rabbis smoking a cigarette by the kotel. The kotel. Now, this person that was speaking, he doesn't believe in the kotel is the Wailing Wall, right? So it's a holy place. It's in Jerusalem. Now, this person, he doesn't believe in the Wailing Wall. He doesn't believe in holiness. Doesn't believe in anything, right? But on the other hand, he saw a rabbi smoking a cigarette. Now, smoking a cigarette is not, it's not a disgrace, but it's not nice. It's not a nice thing to do. It really is not a nice thing to do. No one smokes a cigarette in the middle of a synagogue, and for sure not over there smoking a cigarette. So he saw a rabbi smoking a cigarette, got really angry. Okay, if she saw a rabbi smoking a cigarette in the other place, she probably also wouldn't like it. But a normal person smoking a cigarette is not such a bad thing. But God demands from the Jewish people tremendous things. That even people, it's expected from Jews that they act in a non-normal way, above normal way. But you catch a rabbi stealing, it's terrible. But a priest stealing, it's not so bad. A rabbi with all these doing something bad, right? That's a disgrace for the whole, and it really is a disgrace. The fact is, it is, right? But you catch another person doing it, no, it's not so bad. You get a slap on the wrist. That's in general. I'm just saying God expects a lot from the Jewish people. Okay, maybe these things that I'm saying are not 100% convincing, but God expects a lot from the Jewish people. When the Jewish people did not do what God wants, so God destroyed the temples. Good. So there's 3 weeks that the destruction really is commemorated from Yud Zayin Tammuz until Tisha B'Av. In these 3 weeks, it was from the time that the temple was broken into, the walls were broken into, until the temple was destroyed. Those were the dates. The temple was destroyed. And the second temple was also destroyed. It says in some opinions that both temples were the same thing. It was broken in, the walls were broken in on the 17th day of Tammuz, and the next month, on the 9th day of the next month, it was destroyed. So those 3 weeks we read from the Haftorah of Isaiah, where Isaiah really lets the Jewish people have it. He really, warns them and says, "You evil people, you this, this." Okay, but all of those Torah portions, the worst of them, we read last week, and all of them, without exception, always end on a good note. God says, "I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to knock you down. I'm going to leave you. You're not my people anymore. You this." And finally, and then it says, "But I love you. Tzion b'mishpat tapara, you'll be redeemed. Don't worry about it. I'll gather you all together." Each and every one. That's for those first 3 weeks. But 99% of the Haftorahs are saying bad things about the Jewish people, and they deserved it. They deserved it. There's always one redeeming sentence, 2 redeeming sentences. But that's the weeks leading up to the 9th day of 7 weeks after are also Haftorahs from Isaiah, and they're comforting the Jews. How God loves you. It's almost totally comfort and love, and 99% love and endearment. And God said, "I'll never leave you. You don't have to worry." Okay, here we go. It is known that the Haftorah of the 7 weeks of comfort that I told you about, the 7 comforting weeks, Sheva de Nechamta, that they're maftir in the how do you say, the comforting, positive things that Isaiah said after Tisha B'Av until Rosh Hashanah, she'em lefi azman ulefi ha'ma'ora, that these haftorahs, these 7 weeks, occur according to what's going on in the world. Not like the haftorahs of the other weeks of the year, the me'ina parshos domos domo. The other, usually the haftorah that we read, and maybe there's non-Jewish people, non-religious people that are watching this. If you go to a Jewish synagogue, a normal Jewish synagogue, we're not talking about Reform Conservative, a normal Jewish synagogue, so they read the Torah, and after they read the Torah, they read what's called a haftorah. And that comes from usually the prophets and sometimes from the writings, and something, a portion comes. The portion that they read after the Torah usually has some subject in it that's similar to the portion of the week, right? Not so these 7 weeks, actually the 10 weeks, the 3 weeks, that's only talking about the time, not talking about the Torah portion necessarily. Yeshlam Kesher, the Sheikhut, all of the other haftorahs of the year have a connection to the portions of the week that we read in Shabbat. Because the occurrences which happen, the month of the year, the holidays, etc., Sheikhus LaParsha Shavua, are connected to the portion of the week, like the word of the Shalah, HaMoadim Shel Kol Hashana, the holidays, all of them have connection to the Torah portion that it is read on that week. Benina Didan, in our case, this Shabbat, which is Shabbat Nachamu, we read Nachamu Ami, it's from the Haftorah. I'll put it up, I'll see. This is because of the beginning of this week's Torah portion, Nachamu Ami. This is what chapter is it? Isaiah, chapter Mem. From Mem until Samach, like Isaiah is like 60, 63, something like that, chapters long. The first 40 are really, how do you say, reproof of the Jewish people, and the last 20 are really good. So now it's starting with the last 20. It says, Nachamu Ami, be comforted, my people. This is the beginning of the 7 weeks of comforting. This is also relevant to Parshat Et Hanan. This is also relevant to this week's Torah portion. Nachamu Et Hanan, I am comforting you for your supplications. Et Hanan means to request from God. Shakurim B'olam, it's always read, and the Shabbat, which is after Tisha B'Av. Et Hanan is read. That's the Torah portion of this week. Okay. Nachamu, that's the Haftorah that we're reading. It's connected to the 7 weeks more than the Torah portion, but it's also connected to the Torah portion. God said, I will comfort my people. A double comfort. What does it mean, double comfort? Now you have to remember that Isaiah was before the destruction of the first temple. Isaiah was before the destruction of the first temple. Isaiah saw the conquering of the 10 tribes. There were 10 tribes of Israel that they broke away after King Solomon died, and came down Sennacherib and he conquered them, or his emissary, whatever it is, and he conquered the 10 tribes. 10 tribes. That he did see, but that's not what he's talking about here. Here he's talking about, he's prophesizing. There's going to be a destruction of the first temple. There's going to be a destruction of the second temple. It says, by the way, interesting thing, in the Maimonides brings that when King Solomon built the first temple, he saw that it was going to be destroyed. And he built a special, secret, deep room, winding chambers that went down to hide the tablets, to hide the ark with the tablets in it, and because he knew it was, and sure enough, like about 100 years, 70 years before the destruction of the temple, as the ark was hidden down there. Not like it says in the movies that, it's in some mountain or something. That's where the ark was hidden. So in other words, King Solomon knew the first temple was going to be destroyed. He prophesied it. And Isaiah said not only the first temple, but also the second temple is going to be destroyed. But Nachamu, God said, I am comforting you, comfort. And he was already comforting the Jews. And before the tragedy, there was already the comfort. He comforted them on the first temple and he comforted them on the second temple. What is the comfort? The third temple and the third redemption. The Jewish people were redeemed from Egypt. The Jewish people were redeemed from Babylon. And now it says the exile of Rome. It says we're in the exile of Rome. And that's already been 2,000 years. The third temple is supposed to be built. Now, as we learned in the last few weeks, the temple, it's not a temple. They made it the word the temple. I don't know where they got it from. It's called the Holy House, Beit HaMikdash. It's going to be an eternal house, not like the first and second temples that were destroyed. And it will be an eternal house, and it will be eternal redemption. Now, this is not just empty promises or some sort of mythology, Jewish mythology or something like that. This is actually really going to happen, just like it was. The Jewish people all lived in Israel. We had 2 temples, right? All 2 temples. And it's not like the Christians say that that's it, it's finished, God is finished with us, and it's a new dispensation. That's a big lie. That's a huge lie. It's an evil lie, but it's a very popular lie. It's a very, very successful one. The fact is, there will be a third temple. Moshiach is nothing like what these other religions say is. Moshiach will bring all the Jews back to doing Torah and the commandments. There will be a third temple. And that third temple precisely is what's going to draw all of the Jews back to Israel to do the commandments. You can't do all the commandments without the temple. Can't do all the commandments. It'll be an eternal redemption. She'ein acharei galut. Ve'inyan zeh shayach gam le'et Hanan. This is relevant to the prayers that Moses made. Et Hanan means Moses said, I begged God. Et Hanan means I begged. I beseeched God. Moses prayed to God. It says 515 prayers that he should come to the land of Israel. Remember, we learned about that. Like it says, She'ilu Zachu Yisrael, that if the Jewish people would have merited to come into the land of Israel, they would have built the holy temple by means of Moses. Then it would have been immediately, the future redemption would have been eternal. Huh? So therefore, this Nachmu, this is just fulfilling the prayers that Moses made 3,300 years ago. Long time to wait for God to answer your prayers, but I guess it'll be worth it. I mean, I'm certain it'll be worth it. I don't know if I'm certain. I mean, I would like to be certain, but intellectually, I'm certain. But it's very hard to believe that it's going to happen. But little by little, I'm starting to believe in it. I go and put tefillin on people every day, and I see that the people who I never would suspect would put on tefillin every day. I mean, people that are totally not religious. Yesterday was a very interesting thing to me. 2 people were sitting, I asked one person, would he like to put on tefillin? I go to a nearby hospital, outside of the hospital, and I asked one person, want to put on tefillin? And he went like this, like, get away from me, get away. I asked the person sitting next to him if he wanted to, and he said, okay, he put on. As soon as he put on, he finished, the first guy said, I want to put on also. Put on tefillin also. It was very interesting. Interesting. Inside of the essence of the heart of every Jew knows that the Torah comes from the creator of the universe. And that the Torah is infinitely good. And it's connected to some sort of a good that's not revealed now. And that by doing the commandments, we reveal it. Reveal it, every Jew. So I guess maybe it's not that hard to believe. You know, Moshiach is going to come and just wake up what every Jew is. Just wake up the inner point of every Jew. And then when the temple comes down, there's not what to talk about. It'll be, you know, then even CNN will write, you know, the maybe that's an exaggeration, but later on, you know, eventually CNN will have to write that. The point is, that's what God comforting us, comforting the Jewish people on the terrible destruction of the temple. Now, I don't have to tell you, but maybe I do have to tell you. I don't know. It's always people that pop up every generation and say there was no Holocaust. It didn't exist. You know, there was no such thing as a Holocaust. Now it's becoming popular again. But the whole thing was just made up, the Holocaust. But the fact of the matter is, you know, on one hand, it's a good thing to forget the Holocaust, because if we would think about it too much, we would go crazy. You go crazy. You would just go berserk. So on the other hand, it's not a good thing to forget about it, because God says that according to the pain we have is going to be somehow or other a reward. Somehow or other, this whole massacres of Jewish people is going to be better, is going to be explained. And the Rebbe explained to somebody that the destruction of the first temple and the second temple was worse than the Holocaust. The Holocaust only affected like 1/3 of the Jewish people. And the destruction of the temple affected everybody. Okay. Nevertheless, we will be comforted from all this. We will be comforted, double comfort. But Parshat Etchanan, it is stressed also, the main thing, that Moses wanted to come to the land of Israel, and he didn't get what he wanted. God will comfort us. Parshat Etchanan is God did not comfort Moses. Moses said, God, let me in the land of Israel. It's such a big deal. Let me just come into the land of Israel. Come on, you took all the Jews out of Egypt, millions of Jews. There's one little Jew. Let me just come into the land of Israel. God said, no. He prayed 515 prayers. God said, I told you, I'm not going to let you get in. You struck the rock, right? You're not getting it. It's such a bad sin, God. Come on, 515 different angles. God said no. Come on, first, like it says in the Torah, V'yitaber Hashem bi l'manchem, and God got angry at me, v'lo shamalai, and He didn't listen to me. He got angry at me because I struck the rock. Va'ad until Vayomer Hashem, al tosef davar alai od b'davar hazeh. God said to Moses, don't talk to me anymore about this. Go to the head of the mountain and die. You're not, no, you go up to the head of the mountain, I'll let you see the land of Israel. You'll see the land of Israel. Dying was a little bit later. You're not going to cross over the Jordan River, but Savet Yeshua command Joshua. He will lead the Jewish people into the land of Israel. Hainu, Parshat Etchanan, and Parshat Etchanan that we're reading this Shabbat is stressing exactly the opposite. The Oretz was not by means of Moses. Moses did not get what he wanted. It was by Joshua. And after that, there was the destruction of the temple, and then there was exile, and etc. You'll see in this week's Torah portion, it says, there's the portion that we read on Tisha B'Av. When you give birth to children and they despise me, God is saying. That's what we read on Tisha B'Av. So if so, it seems that the Haftorah of this week is exactly the opposite of the Torah portion. How is it fitting with the Haftorah? The Haftorah is saying, Nachmu, Nachmu, I am going to comfort you Jews. I'm going to build a third temple. You're all going to be gathered together. It's going to be wonderful, right? That's the Haftorah. And the Torah portion is exactly the opposite. God is saying, I'm not going to comfort you, Moses. You're not going to come into the land of Israel. Joshua is going to bring the people in, and you're not coming in. And because Moses didn't come in, so therefore the temple was destroyed. If Moses would have come in, the temple would have been eternal. He would have built an eternal temple. And that's it. No, because Moses didn't come in, so therefore they had to wait for another 440 years, and the first temple was built, and then 410 years after that, the first temple was destroyed, and then like 490 years after that, the second temple was destroyed. How is that fitting to the Nachmu says, I will comfort you, I'll build a third temple, and the Torah portion is talking about the exile that we went into. How could it be? So it seems to be two opposites. The Torah portion and the Haftorah seem to be two opposites. Even though we can say, maybe we can say like this, Parshat Et Chanan, it's talking about the Tzorach v'Hechrach bin Nachama b'Kiflayim. Maybe we can say like this, in this week's Torah portion, Ve'et Chanan, it's telling us what we have to be comforted about. Why we have to be doubly comforted. Why? Doubly comforted. That there's going to be a future redemption, and it will be because Moses didn't come into the land of Israel. Therefore, the temple was destroyed. First temple, second. Therefore, we have to have Nachmu, a double comfort. Maybe we can say that. So, Mr. Bear, it's logical to say, also this comfort, double comfort itself, not only the necessity of this, is also found in Ve'et Hanan. So, the Rebbe is saying like this. The Torah portion and the Haftorah usually fit one another in their content. Here seems to be two opposites. Et Hanan is talking about the reason for the destruction of the temples and the exile. Moses didn't get into the land of Israel. And Nachmu is talking about the building of the third temple, the comforting. So the Rebbe said, no, there must be something positive in Ve'et Hanan that is similar to the third temple. Not just negative. The whole Et Hanan seems to be very negative. Moses prayed to get in, and he didn't get in to Israel. And because of that, there was the destruction, etc., etc. Therefore, we need Nachamu because of this negativity. Says the Rebbe, okay, that's one explanation. But we have to find something positive in that. Generally speaking, that's the goal of Chabad Hasidut, is to find something positive in everything. Something positive in everything. Let's go. Let's understand like this. This first half, or let's understand the first half Torah. Nachmu, double comfort. Shaychutam shel Haftorah, the connection to the Haftorah, to the future redemption, is that it, in addition to the fact that it is a future redemption, and the Moshiach will gather the Jews, etc., this will be a comfort. Nachum, also from the meaning of kefel, also a double comfort. A double comfort. That's the future redemption, will be a double comfort to the Jewish people. Kiyadua, a kefel shayach moral in geula. It's relevant to the idea of the future redemption. Like it says in the Midrash, there are 5 letters that are doubled over. Chaf, and that Avram was redeemed. Lech lecha, Mem, Nun. These are all end letters. In the Hebrew alphabet, there's 22 letters and 22 letters of the alphabet, and there's 5 of them which are doubled over. 5 of them are doubled over. Chaf, Mem, Nun, Pei, Tzadik. There's a double letters. Tzadik. All these 5 letters is that right? Is God is going to redeem the Jewish people. Also, like it says, Tzaddik, Semach Tzedek, the final redeemer is going to do double 2 tzaddiks. Pokadati, 2 pays, pay. Yeshlom, we can say that the connection to the future redemption is going to be double, because these double letters are used in also they're dominant in the future redemption. two chafs, two lamed, two chafs, two mems, two pays. Also, we can say that the connection of the kefil, this is a kiflaim lo toshia. Toshia is for the word Yoshua. Yeshua means salvation. Geula. Hoshia et amecha. Babira inyan, we can say like this simply. Kiflaim, let me just say one thing. This idea of being comforted is a very weird idea. Comforted. I've seen a lot of times, there's people who somebody dear to them passes away. And they say the person comes to them in a dream afterwards and says, don't worry, I'm all right. I'm in heaven. Don't worry. That's called a comfort. In other words, I'm not really gone. I'm not really gone. I'm in a better place now. That's comfort. Comforting, right? A person loses all of his money. Somebody comes and says, if you would have had that money, robbers would have come and killed you. Right? Robbers were planning, we were planning to rob your house and to kill you. And now we heard you lost all of your money in the stock market. Now we're not going to come and kill you anymore. So he says, oh, it's a good thing I lost my money. Right? That's called a comfort. It's not 100% the same thing as it was, but it's a comfort. There's sometimes that a comfort is, yes, a comforting idea, right? A comforting idea. You think everything is going to be bad. Suddenly you realize it's good. It's a comforting idea, right? You don't want your daughter to marry such and such a girl you think is going to be terrible, and it comes out to be wonderful. That's a comfort. Well, I see I was wrong. The future redemption is going to be a double comfort to all the pain. Now, the Jewish people have suffered a lot of pain in the history of the world. How something is going to come to comfort us, I don't know, but it's going to. That's what the Rebbe is saying. It's going to be a double comfort. The word double doesn't mean kiflayim, doesn't mean double. It just doesn't mean 2 times. It means double. Whatever you have, it doubles, right? Double. How much did I win in the lottery? Double. Double what? Double what I paid in? No. Double. Someone double, then someone that, whatever you have, double. Well, I won $1 million, double. So that means 2 million, double. Double 2 million, so it means 4 million, double. It means without any limit. Kafisha Metzina, like we find in the words of the rabbis, that kefel means afilu mea pamim. It means, even like we say, for instance, the rabbis say, even 100 times. What does it mean, even 100 times? Doesn't mean 100 and then you stop. The intention of this is not the limit to be 100, but it's talking about a big number. Even 100 more, 100 more. B'shleimut, 100 is just to express a complete number. Like it says, a person has to make 100 blessings every day. It means all you have to make is 100. No, shebe'em nichlalim kol habrachot means all of the blessings that you could possibly make from above. But it means you can make more. Hashlemus the kol inyanim, the completion is 10. And each 10 is contained with 10. So that comes to be 100. So therefore is included in this also the 10 times 10. But it doesn't mean 100. It means 100 times 100, 1,000. Also, each and every one, when you say even 100 times, it means an infinite number of times until whatever you're looking for happens. Eser pamim, mispar ravova means 1,000, 10,000, etc. So according to this, now we can explain the connection between the doubling of the redemption. Kefel, kiflayim doesn't mean just 2 times. It means continuing doubled and redoubled and redoubled. It means redoubling without limit. This is relevant to the future redemption, which then will be revealed in this world. Or Eloki, a light of God, which is unlimited. Unlimited good. The language of Kabbalah and Chassidut, Giloi or Ein Sof. It's called the light, which is infinite life. No end. No end to the good. Therefore, therefore, everything will be complete, beginning with the completion of the building of the temple, a total redemption that will be eternal without any limit. not like the first temple and the second temple, and the first redemption and the second temple, and the second redemption that we got out of Egypt, we got out of Babylon. And that was a certain amount of time. The first temple was 410 years, the second temple was 420 years. The third will be eternal. That's what it means, nachmu, nachmu, a doubled and redoubled and redoubled good will be revealed. That's what's being hinted at in this week's Haftorah, something that's really going to happen, as we'll continue more, God willing, tomorrow. Let's do the Yom Yom.